Hello, everybody.
Wisconsin can be so cold. The scales of justice can erode. If we accept lies big and bold, we forget we live on Avery Road. We live on Avery Road. Should be easy to see.
I love this tune as well.
This could be you, could be me. We shouldn't sit by
Marissa, hey Joy.
accepting everything that we are told. I live on Avery Road. I live on Avery Road.
Hi, Milk. 2-0.
On Avery Road.
Hello, everybody. So, for those who haven't guessed, we're talking today about the hood latch. We're talking about, but today we're going to be focusing on really Zellner's expert Carl Reich's affidavit and all of the things that were really wrong. Not just the color of the swabs as we're looking at here, right? Obviously, the color is just one problem with the hood latch DNA and the swabs and stuff, right? These are swabs that were collected by Ali Apperson. For those of you who don't know, you should go over and check her out right now because she is freaking off the hook right now. She's making a bunch of videos right now. In fact, when I went looking for Stacy Seabrook this morning, I opened up YouTube and there were two more, and one of them was about her blood experiments, which I think were brilliant. So I think everybody should, when this is done, go over and check out Ali Apperson's channel. Marissa will probably leave you a link here in the chat here in a minute. But after this, go check that out, because when I went in looking for Stacy Seabrook's song to play for you right now, I noticed she's very busy over there on her channel right now, and I'm very happy about that, and I love it. I want to encourage everybody to go check it out. Hello and good morning to everybody. Hello. Hi, Armdale. Hi, Maria. Hi, Andrew. Hi, Adrian. Hi, Audra. Cat Safari Meditation. You're going to test some theories with your 22? Okay, sounds cool. Oh, thank you so much, Dozer. Yes, I'm also about to go over 1 million views for my channel as well, which is something cool for me because I started so much later than a lot of the other YouTubers. Well, the original YouTubers, the Casey, Johnny, even Laura. So I'm just so close to going over here. Let me switch over. So I'm just like this close to going over 1 million views as well. So it's nice. It's good. I'm trying not to let any of this get to me. It's actually humbling me. It's making me want to get back to my roots of what I did, how I started this channel, what I was doing when I started this channel, and I want to be getting back to at least being able to offer you guys more actual, evidence during the lives, or get back to making more upload videos, which I will upload as premieres, of course, which for those of you who don't know what that means, when I upload now, I can upload it as a premiere. And what that means is that if everybody gets together for the first viewing, everybody can get together and there's a live chat that accompanies the upload that I upload. So this is a cool new feature that YouTube has added. So I've been trying to utilize it for everybody to make it more fun for everybody, to give people that forum, because I know you guys all seem to get along very well in here and you guys like to talk. So I'm trying to create that little community next to the video as much as I can. So obviously it happens when I go live, but now I'm able to do it with uploads. So for those of you who don't know what that means, when I upload a premiere, that just means if you're there for the first viewing, the very first time it airs, that you will be able to have a live chat and chat with everybody while it's playing. So I've been trying to do some of that stuff and get back to really getting, showing the documents, the evidence, and those sort of things to you guys, and showing you things that it's just not me just up here talking. Because a lot of people have been commenting, are you just going to be doing lives from now on? I know what that means. I get what they're saying. And so I'm trying to, the success is great, but it's humbling as well, because I want to make sure that I stay true to what got me here. And so I'm basically kind of doing a little dance at this point in time, trying to figure that out. Oh, thank you, Viking. Let's see here. Oh, thank you so much, BMW Racing. What was your channel? What was the channel you were on about? I joined, as you said. Oh, Josh, you must be talking about my other YouTube channel. It's Erekose on Doctor Who. I'm a Doctor Who fan. Actually, not sure about where the show's going right now in the current direction and the current leadership over there at Doctor Who. I don't know, but it's really weird. They're making some really strange decisions I don't understand over there, and so I haven't been covering it so much. So that channel's become kind of I haven't been uploading much. So I'm trying to draw attention to it so that I can go over there and do. Trying to get the numbers up over on that channel. So that YouTube will unlock certain things for me, like being able to do a live stream from that channel that's about something that isn't necessarily true crime or MAM related. So that's all I was trying to do with that, was to try to get that opened up, get the numbers up so that YouTube would unlock certain abilities for me on that channel, so that I could do other things with it. So that was the whole point of that. Sorry about the confusion that may have caused. Hello, Andrew. Okay, so there we go. I'm caught up there. Okay. I do great work. Thank you so much. Do you, Erekose? Don't forget to take time for you. Yeah, it's been on my mind, Audra. That has been on my mind. Trust me. I've been here since 2016. You do great work. Thank you, Rhonda. I've been watching your vids for a year. I like the live vids, even though I rarely catch them. I always catch up. Oh, thanks, Andrew. I just had some people commenting, and I had an email from somebody, and they were just asking, basically, was I going to be getting back to that, showing up, showing the documents, showing, things that people can really look at and go, okay, he's not just talking out of his butt, right? So, and I was getting that feel. So I understand people respond to me live, and they getting to see me live and getting to see me react in real time and stuff. And I understand that there's a lot of people that respond to that, but I also don't want to forget about those people who have been with me and got me here. And those people really did want that hard-based evidence. And when I started, that was a big part of who I was, is that I didn't want to just get on here as a talking head and just say things. I really wanted to be able to kind of show my work, or show, kind of my line of thinking and what caused me to have that line of thinking from investigation reports or videos or pictures or whatever it might be. So I certainly don't want to forget about that. So it's just something I'm thinking about now going forward. Like I say, it's good to stay humble, because that's why you guys like me. If I let it all go to my head, you guys won't like me anymore. Let's see. We got all politically correct here. Let's see. Why was no other DNA found on the hood latch? Correct. Why is nobody? I mean, it's not like Stephen Avery was the sole person that ever touched that hood latch. That's an excellent point. Absolutely excellent point. I agree. I want to see the breakdown and your take on the docs and evidence as you. There we go. See, Natalie knows what I'm talking about. So, and those people I understand, because that's the type of attitude I started my channel with. So, just trying to make sure I don't forget about that. That's all. Don't want to spend any more time on it because I know everybody wants to hear about MAM and talk about the hood latch here. So, Nick Yeoman, Erekose, they want to say you do brilliant videos, mate. Thank you so much, Nick. I appreciate it. Your lives are hard to watch from the East Coast. Well, my lives are. I know they are, Rhonda. I do. I. That's why on the weekends I try to go much earlier. I'm thinking of the East Coast when I go live on the weekends, because I'm trying to go at an early hour so that everybody in the United States, the country where I am, has a chance to see me. But on the weekdays, unfortunately, when I go live, it's I wish I could go earlier sometimes, but sometimes I'm just stuck. I sometimes get home from work literally at 7 o'clock at night, and 7 o'clock, I'm on the west coast of the United States, so 7 o'clock for me is already 10 o'clock for everybody else, and I need about an hour to prepare for it because I got to get some screenshots up to show you guys and things like that. So unfortunately during the week it ends up that way, Rhonda, and I do apologize. Let's see what really appreciate you reading the documents in the live. Oh, thank you so much, Michelle. I appreciate it. Oh, that's my other channel. But he was so sweaty when he touched it. Yeah, he was. Oh, cause sweat DNA. It's all about sweat DNA. Remember, Ken Kratz told you first. Sweat DNA. Remember, just remember. The latch was probably clean prior to Steven's DNA being... Exactly. That's why you wouldn't have a mixture. And there certainly should be a mixture, because certainly Stephen Avery is not the only person to touch that hood latch. I really enjoyed being part of your channel. I've been around since the beginning. It's awesome that you've done what you've done for Stephen and Brenda. Oh, thank you so much, Justin. I appreciate it. I think your videos for info, then live discussion about the said videos is a good format for you. That's actually that's kind of what I figured might be a good fix for this. Where if I can spend one day pumping people full of documents and getting them up on, you know, some of the investigation reports and things, the actual white papers that kind of back up what I'm talking about. And then after everybody's seen that and can even like look into some of that stuff for a day before, you know, maybe somewhere close to 24 hours, hopefully, but at least 12, but maybe 24 hours between the actual upload of the premiere and then when I go live to talk about what was in the premiere. So it's like, and I think it's hopefully giving more people a chance to be there for the live, because it's getting scheduled so far in advance that it's hopefully giving people more chance to be there for the live discussion. So I think I'm glad you feel that way, that it's a good format, because I'm thinking it could be a good way for me to satisfy both aspects of what people are really liking here on my channel and what they're really responding to here on my channel. So I'm trying to figure out what you guys all like and are responding to, and I'm trying to give that to you. On that note, we're not going to be talking about it today, but I already was working on an upload before this live. That's why I was a couple minutes late. I was already working on something and editing something that I'm going to be uploading after this. I'm going to upload it for tonight. And then tomorrow when I get home from work, we're going to go live. And it's going to be, you guys are going to be able to ask me and talk about everything Bobby Dassey, Scott Taddock. I'm opening that door, and you guys can ask me and see whatever you want, whatever I have to say about those two. I'm going to open the door in the next two. So it's going to be an upload, a premiere tonight, and then a live tomorrow when I get home from work, and where I'm going to answer any and all questions, Bobby Dassey, Scott Taddock, Ryan Hillegas, all those questions on the three main suspects as best I can, if I have the answer. And want to remind people, when it comes to this topic, I will not engage in hearsay. I think you guys know that. So if you guys are asking me something where there's not actually, I can't actually say that there's something that points to it, I'm just going to be honest and say I can't say that there's something that points to it. So I'm going to be very careful about what I say, and I'm going to try to stay very evidence based on that. But there have been people asking and about that situation, and they feel like I haven't covered it enough, so I'm gonna cover it We're gonna cover it. So anyways, that's where we're kind of at going with this. But yes, that's kind of hopefully the pattern I want to develop here, where I fill you with documents, and then we go ahead and have a discussion about it. I do think they really wanted Brennan. Let's see here. I can picture him now sobbing like a girl confessing in the police room. Talking about Brennan here. They already had enough forensic evidence to convict Avery 20 times over. Nothing to connect Brendan. Why plant Avery's DNA and not Brendan's? I guess that's somewhat of a fair point, but I don't know. These guys aren't the most brilliant guys, Thomas, really. I don't know. It's just my opinion. I don't think they really wanted Brendan. No, they just needed him to really just seal the deal against Avery. Because he wasn't part of the equation at first. They didn't have enough time. They didn't have enough to convict in the beginning. Yeah, the problem is, if they found Brendan's DNA anywhere, they would have found it. It would have been there. I mean, the fact that it's missing is why they didn't look at him. Thomas, in your opinion, they had enough for Avery. Surprised me that because Manitowoc hated the Averys, that they didn't try to plant evidence for Earl, Chuck, and Stephen. It would have got rid of them all. Yeah, but the more complicated the more complicated your plan gets when you're doing something like planting, which is essentially conspiracy, the more complicated you get, the more places, the more areas that you create that can be attacked. Look at how everything we can all attack, just the way it is right now, just with as simple as framing Avery and then coercing Brendan Dassey to solidify that conviction, basically, or that case against Avery, right? Look at everything that we're picking apart with just that, in that small scope. If it had been expanded to them trying to do things with Chuck and Earl and all that, there would have been a whole lot more for us to pick apart. That would have been the problem with trying to expand it that way, in my opinion. Pull the read technique on BOD. Yeah. Just hear what I missed. Be right back. Erekose, with what KZ released over the Twitter the other day, where do you now think Ryan plays into TH actual murder? I've known most of what was in her Q&A. I've known for a long time. I support Zellner. I support her theories because her evidence, her experts' opinions, those things are what is going to expose what's gone on here. But I'm not willing to let Ryan go. To me, there's just so much there. There's just so much there with Ryan. So many things that he did. So many lies. The lie about the insurance. The lie. I mean, just, he's giving Pam only a camera. It's in a direct line to Sheriff Poggle. There's just too much. Maybe he was just involved with planting and framing Avery, but why was he even doing that? I don't know. Ryan is an issue for me, but the stuff and like I said, this is the last I'm going to say about it because I'm not getting into this topic here today. This is for tomorrow's video, but tonight's and tomorrow's video. But there's also plenty of stuff on the computer. There's plenty of stuff with the timing of things with Bobby when he left and Teresa left and when things happened, and Josh Redant saying that he didn't see any fire in Avery's burn pit, but he did see fire, the glow of a fire from a burn barrel. So, and that was over by the Dassey. So I mean, there's enough there where there's actual evidence that points to me in two directions. The problem that's created is the blood in the sink. The blood in Stephen Avery's sink. Where did the blood come from for planting is really, really the huge, huge crux on this case right now. Everything really is balancing on where the blood could have came from. I am waiting for another source to emerge. I think I know where it could have came from, but I have to check on forensics and whether or not it would be possible for it to be done. And I'm going to go watch Ali Apperson's video about the blood after this to see if it's answered in that. But anyways, so moving on from the three main suspects, because the three main suspects are for tonight's upload premiere and tomorrow's live video. So moving back to the hood latch here. Okay, here we go. There's a woman I have on FB that bears an uncanny resemblance to TH. I get the chills when I see her posts. Yeah, is her name Teresa by chance? Unfortunately, I need to step out for a bit. We'll check back later. All right, see you, Thomas. She's also showing that the DNA was planted. Not unfortunate for us. Hey, Phoebe. This is my email, but the phone record Ryan gave the cops didn't have any blocked calls. It had one unknown number that isn't SA. Right hand, I saw the pics. So we'll try to connect the dots tomorrow night. Did they offer SA? Did they offer SA to release him if he confessed to the rape before or after the call to AC? The prison was constantly asking Stephen. He could have gotten out before 18 years, but he would not confess to it. And so the prison was keeping him in the maximum amount. Otherwise, they would have paroled him earlier if he had basically admitted to raping Penny Burnson. This is what makes Stephen so remarkable, really, in terms of when he claims he's innocent, and when he claims he did something, he did it. When he claims he's innocent, so far, it's proven that he's innocent. Yeah, why would RH lie? Big question. Yeah, exactly. But like I said, we'll save the three main suspects for tonight and tomorrow. So when it comes down to this DNA, you guys watched the premiere essentially, right? The premiere showed us what Carl Reich was saying about all this. I mean, number one, there's a huge problem right away with the DNA swab. The reports they have, that Madison reports that there was 1.9 nanograms of Stephen's DNA, right? And the thing is that 1.9 nanograms is really ridiculous. So it left Carl Reich and his people sitting there going like, that's really a ridiculous amount of DNA that's being left here. How is it possible? Because almost 2 full nanograms from just touch is extraordinary. Right? So they do a hood trial experiment, right? They do a hood trial experiment. And they have 15, they have 3 different people opening the hood 5 times. So it's 15 total openings of the hood, essentially. So it's 15 total openings. Out of all the 15 times that the hood was opened and cleaned after each time, it was swabbed for DNA and then completely cleaned and then closed again for the next opening, right? And after 15 times of people opening the hood, only 4 out of the 15 times did they even get measurable DNA. Did they even get enough to be able to measure? And the minimum threshold is 0.005 nanograms. Okay? That is a very minuscule amount. It's 0.005 of a nanogram. Anyways, the four measurable responses they get were like 0.04, 0.05, 0.04, 0.06, 0.07, and 0.09. Okay, basically all 4 of the ones that measured were less than 1/10 of a nanogram. Okay, that's a minute amount. Tiny amount. So it leaves us with the question of, how is Stephen miraculously leaving nearly 2 full nanograms on the hood latch? How is that happening? And yet there's none of, and if he's leaving 2 full nanograms on the hood latch, how is he not leaving it on the hood? How is he not leaving prints on the hood? How is it not on the prop for the hood prop that holds the hood up when you get under there? How is it not on the battery cables? How is it not on the thing inside of the car that you pull to release the hood so that you can actually manipulate the hood prop? Why is it not on all these other? If he's leaving almost 2 full nanograms on a hood latch, he's going to be leaving it all over the place, right? So where is it? Where is it? This is what creates doubt. This is totally what creates doubt here. And unfortunately, the journalists and a lot of the people have been deliberately misinterpreting this experiment and its results, and it's been pissing me off. Particularly somebody on Nancy Grace one time, who was a reporter I actually liked until she was on Nancy Grace, and started trying to say that the hood latch experiment proved Stephen's guilt, and I was just going, yeah, good luck with that. Yeah, that's absolutely untrue, but it seemed like a lot of the press at the time went that way. So, the lot of the press seemed to buy into that, and it's not. It absolutely proves. The question it raises is, if Stephen's leaving almost 2 full nanograms on the hood latch, then he should be leaving massive amounts of touch DNA everywhere. So why is there no proof of it? And why in 15 openings were there only 4 measurable? Only 4 times was there a measurable leaving of DNA, and those what they measured is less than 1/10 of 1 nanogram, not almost 2 full nanograms. So it's, hello, sweaty sweat. Yeah. What peer-reviewed journal did you publish? Did they publish their results in? They had Stephen's vehicle. Besides that, they tested the RAV4, could easily gather some DNA from it. No. So, okay, so I see the questions coming up of, well, where could the DNA come from? Right. So where could the DNA come from? Well, that's when we come to when Stephen was arrested. Okay, they took him down to a medical facility, and they were taking like DNA samples from him. They were taking certain samples from him, and at one point they took groin swabs. Okay. Then suddenly Tom Fassbender says, "Oh wait, no, we can't take groin swabs. The warrant doesn't allow us to take groin swabs." So they just like throw it in a biohazard can, right? And then it goes into a biohazard can, and that's it. So now you have these 2 swabs that shouldn't have been taken, but now they're unaccounted for. They're not entered into official inventory. They're just floating swabs with DNA, with Stephen's DNA all over them, right? And with all the other, janky things we see the state and agents of the state doing in this case, you can't tell me that it's a reach that somebody grabbed those and unofficially walked those out of the medical office. I'm sorry, I've seen way too much jankiness in this case for me to just say that that's the case, right? So you have these 2 groin swabs that are not in official evidence, so they are floating, and they could easily be swapped on the way to the crime lab or whatever. They could be substituted as the hood latch swab, and virtually nobody be the wiser. One of the very few people that was in on the planting could have at some point quickly switched it and put in one of the groin swabs as a hood latch swab, and then it goes to the crime lab. The crime lab measures it and goes, "Oh yeah, there's 1.9 nanograms of DNA here," because it wasn't blood, it wasn't saliva, it wasn't semen, and it wasn't any of the main bodily fluids. So that leaves, really, by default, that means epithelial cells. And so they know that that's generally how they rule that. So I wish I had a DNA lab at my disposal so I could do a groin swab test. Right. Hello, hello, Abe Woodward. So he was dripping with sweat outside the car, but not bleeding. He gets inside the RAV and stops sweating and starts bleeding. Exactly. Even Avery's pores and everything are idiot savant. Let's see, they also had buccal swab from previous case, finger and yeah. Exactly, Ryan. I think the same. Jason Summers, are you related to the Corey Summers in this chat? Just one question. I've wondered, though. The state was probably just the high level of DNA. The state will probably just say the high level of DNA was from him having sexual fluid on his hand. Is that possible? No, because it can't be sexual fluid because blood was ruled out, saliva ruled out, semen was ruled out, and what's the other one? Urine was ruled out. So it wasn't any of the four main bodily fluids. It can't be those. So no, it couldn't. That can't be. Zellner's expert is one of the foremost DNA experts. You can look up his articles. Yeah, he is. Dr. Carl Reich is very well known. If you watch like Forensic Files, you'll see his name mentioned often. If it was sexual fluid, TH would be mixed with it. And that's also true. If it was, yes, absolutely. TH would have been mixed in with it if it was sexual fluid on his fingers or hands. But it can't be because, as I just said, there was presumptive testing done, and it was not any of the four major bodily fluids. When you're talking about sex juice or whatever it is, or sex fluid on his fingers, that would be DNA. That would be semen. Or vaginal secretions, not and therefore that would be one of the main bodily fluids that they test for, and so it couldn't be that because it wasn't. Just to reiterate, it wasn't any of the four main bodily fluids. It had to be and then by right they rule it out that it must be epithelial cells by default when they find out that it's not any of those four fluids. Just to be clear. So the natural question becomes, on the average, how many nanograms of DNA can be found on a groin swab? Sure. What's the average amount of DNA you get on a groin swab? That would probably be a good measuring stick. If it was sexual fluid. But what articles did he publish to show that the DNA was too much? We just share same great name. They didn't find DNA on hood release in the RAV. Right. Well, those are the things that Zellner wants to test. The release inside, the prop, the cables, the actual hood, where you actually lift the hood and you put your fingers and hands on it when you lift up the hood. She wants to test all that. Bottom line, I think I can think of a few cases just off the top of my head where the swabs and fluids were mislabeled. People think that doesn't happen. Wrong. And that's what Carl Reich says. He says, oh yeah, it's very, but he goes, it's uncommon for things to just be manufactured, evidence and stuff like that. He goes, but if there's something unofficial that can be relabeled, oh, that happens all the time. And he just basically says, oh, that is definitely plausible. So I'm not sure without looking them up. If he says it's too much, though, I tend to believe him. He's established his credibility many times over. Why was Bobby never truly questioned? You don't even have to take Carl Reich's word for it, though. You really don't. You really don't. Look at it. Just look at it. The Hood trial experiments. Out of 15 openings, only 4 people left measurable DNA. And of all 4 of those, all 4 were under 1/10 of a nanogram. What you need to do, Thad, if you let me put it this way. If you question this so much, what you need to do is do your own Hood trial opening experiments. And you need to see where you can create a situation where somebody leaves almost 2 full nanograms on the hood latch from opening it. If you can recreate that, then you're in business. Then we got something we can talk about and something we can debate here. But as far as it goes, nobody can recreate that. And until it gets recreated, this evidence is bogus. Hey Travis, it's Sunday and I'm trying to go early for everybody because there's a lot of people that are on the East Coast and stuff that wish they could make my live chats and they can't, and so I go early on the weekends. I go early on the weekends for those people so that they can join in and be a part of the festivities and all that sort of stuff. So, It will slow down eventually at one point. There are multiple videos of Fassbender talking to BOD in the hallway. General assumption would be that it wasn't the first time they met. I would tend to agree. But like I said, that would be for the 3 suspects talk tonight on the premiere and tomorrow's live. Today we're talking about the Latch DNA. Just want to gently remind that. Mislabeled tests happen all the time. Labs make huge mistakes. Even in the healthcare field, people are told they have cancer when they don't, right? I'm looking up levels of DNA from a groin swab now. Let's brain fingerprint them all. What's up, Eric? Glad to catch you live again. I'll try to catch up on what we're talking about here pretty quick. Oh, hey Jonas, we're talking about the Latch DNA. We're talking about how somehow Stephen has left 2 full nanograms and that can't seem to be recreated. I'm going to be moving on to the coloration of the swabs here eventually. But right now we're just right now only talking about the fact that the DNA levels are just like way out of whack. I'm sure if my Latch was tested for DNA, the multiple profiles would be found. I would agree. Multiple people tend to open a hood. No, I need to read the peer-reviewed journals of experts in the field, the gold standard of scientific integrity. Well, I can respect that, Dad. I can totally respect that. You're welcome, Michelle. Again, G. Meekin, a Jameson DNA transfer review and implications for casework. Okay. That sounds like some kind of document or something, but it's not a link, so I don't know what we can do with that. I do have a monkey on my back. That's why it's so appropriate to have the monkey. OMG, please show me the relabel. It's nice and early. Yes, Erekose, thank you for doing the early ones on the weekends. You're awesome. You're so welcome. Exactly, I agree, Erekose. The state would have already announced they recreated the test with high amount of DNA if they could have. The license plate, driver's seat, gear shift, radio knob, steering wheel, console, yeah, all those things should have all had something on them. Has anyone thought about the police having ST gain a relationship with Barb? Scope out the place and ways to... That'll be a potential topic for tonight and tomorrow's premiere and live. Hi, Erekose. Thank you for all your great work. Can you please remind me of all DNA tests that were done? Which ones had DNA from unknown sources? Well, I can tell you that the 2 spots that were found on the exterior RAV4 tailgate near the handle area that kind of actually appeared at the crime lab. Some people have theorized it was under the crime lab's lights, or possibly that it was fingerprint dust that made those 2 spots appear, but they aren't very visible from the pictures at the salvage yard, but nevertheless they are there at the crime lab for whatever reason, under the lights of the crime lab, or the fingerprint dust made them appear, and those 2 came back inconclusive, but they were certain. Sherry Culhane was certain that they weren't Stephen. That's the interesting bit. She testified to the fact that they were not Stephen Avery. But she couldn't get a full profile from him. So that was interesting. Those peer-reviewed journals are referenced in the reports. The DNA experts hired recently have written numerous peer-reviewed journal articles. One wrote, the blood in a particular field Okay. Okay, so did you get the email with the pic of the nanogram versus micro? Yeah, I sent it along. Travis should have it. I don't know if he's checked his email yet today, but he should have it. Lori. Let's see. Again, there should be another sample somewhere in the car. Start there and work backwards to what seems too clean. That's a sloth. Hey guys, dropping in on my break. Hi Andy. Denver Royals. I hope Zellner thinks of that to test not just the hood latch under the hood, but she's already been saying that. She's already been talking about all those items. She has every intention of testing all of those things. As soon as she can get her hands on that RAV4, which the state is very much not wanting to let it happen. That's what guilters don't get. If you can recreate the evidence, then science will prove it is correct. But KZ hasn't been able to recreate it. None of it. If you tested my hood latch, you would find multiple people's DNA, but probably not mine. I've only been under the hood like 3 times. Yeah, so that's certain. I mean, there's usually going to be multiple people opening a hood latch, and so you would generally tend to find multiple DNA profiles there. And the fact that you only find Stevens and it's 1.9 nanograms is just off the chart. The most DNA would be on the steering wheel. They didn't swab it. They're saying that Steven either wore gloves or cleaned off the steering wheel. I mean, it's just, I don't know. The prosecution's theory is just whack. Science doesn't lie either. Guilters want to use the evidence and claim it is irrefutably correct. But when science cannot recreate it, they don't want to hear it. Double standard. Oh, that's true. I mean, everybody gets passionate and kind of entrenched in their way of thinking. That's one reason why I try to stay more balanced and not to get too far down the innocent or guilty road. With Brendan, I believe he's 100% innocent, but even there, I try to stay somewhat circumspect. Actually, you don't have. Just wondering if he subconsciously was thinking that BD, subconsciously thinking of when BD actually murdered. Is there a cabin on Xander Road or near the area? The property has a house on it. Yeah, if you watch my video, you can see I show the aerial views. There's like a house on it. That property was vacant at the time that this was all happening. That property was vacant at the time, and then it sold right after they had basically in March, like about a week after they had arrested Brendan and everything. Then the property sold, so it was really strange, the timing on that. I had to reload, but chat's all there. Live streams have been acting funny the last week or so. Reloading usually fixes the buffering. Yeah, I gotta figure out why it's telling me a bad video stream. That's a problem I'll have to look into it after today's live. Sorry about that, guys. They have cabins. They went to them and the police were searching the property. I forget where they are, right? Can't find anything because I don't know what I'm looking for. Too much science involved. What problems do you have with the video of Zellner? that video, I don't know. I think she made the video because she felt like she had enough information to kind of make that portrayal, but I think it needs fleshing out. I think it needs further. It just needs a little more. It's and then obviously the people in it are not actors. They're clearly acting kind of either wooden or, you know, it was just the people weren't actors, so that kind of came off a little odd. But I think in terms of showing the timing of things, showing the representation of how Teresa would have been hit at the rear of the RAV4 was something heavy and blunt, and that when on the pullback from that, it would have been throwing the spatter onto the interior of the RAV4 tailgate, and that's where that spatter actually came from, not the ridiculous story that we get from the state's expert on blood spatter about how that blood got on the interior of the rear tailgate. So, I think there was some weirdness with it. It struck me as a little odd at first when I was watching it, but there was a lot of things about it that I actually thought were good, because it gives people kind of a visual, timed representation kind of the events as Zellner sees them, as just a rough building block to start from, I think. And I think it'll get fleshed out more in the future. Who puts their fingers in the latch? They hold the bar and hood. Can't find anything because okay. He cleaned the steering wheel but left the blood. Right. I will have to disagree with it. I have to disagree, Erekose. If it was touch DNA, it doesn't stay on. It doesn't stay as long as the other 4. I believe that being said, it's still BS. Okay. Well, I can only tell you what I know, that the blood was tested, the DNA, the hood latch DNA was tested, and that they did the presumptive testing, and that it didn't come back as those 4 bodily fluids. That's why, and what that does is it adds further credit to the fact that they substituted in a swab. And where can we find a swab that's unaccounted for in the investigation? The 2 that were collected from Stephen's groin. And it also happens that the buccal swabs were actually in the same vehicle traveling to the crime lab with the hood latch swabs, and it would have been an easy matter for somebody to do a little reassigning on that car ride, and really nobody would be the wiser. So there's a few different ways where they feel that this reassignment of the hood latch swab could happen. So we'll have to see how it all plays out, of course. Denver Royals, at this point, the access to the RAV4 is the next step. Yeah. So much depends. Yeah, absolutely. The live stream issues have been YouTube as a whole, not just you, just to clarify. Oh, okay. Good to know. But mine is telling me something here, and I don't know why. Keyframe frequency. Here, hold on, let me write something down here. I never write it down while I'm live because I'm live and talking to you guys. Keyframe frequency. All right. And what does it say? Set it to 4 seconds less. Now it went green again. All right. Something I gotta try in settings. It might help the situation. So they bought the house because Teresa was either raped or burnt there, and they needed to clean the place up. OT, but where are the control question proceeds going? I just got asked in DM. Thank you. Every bit of profit from the control question t-shirts goes to Brendan. In fact, let me put it this way. Brendan has already received the proceeds from the t-shirts, and I haven't even sold them yet. So, tell that to whoever's DMing you. The battery has been switched. Would there not be someone's DNA on the hood latch? There might be. And there might be somebody's DNA on that battery, to be perfectly honest. So they bought the house because Teresa was either raped or burnt there, and they need to clean the place up big time. Any chemical analysis of FL item would show that if it was chapstick or lip moisturizer. Yeah, my stream just crashed and rebooted too. Sorry to hear that. Hi, Dean. If Bobby is the killer, how do you think he was able to link up with the police and also RH, etc.? Create this perfect storm of framing Steven. Do you think it was just dumb luck, perhaps? Okay, Bobby, as I said, it's probably the 6th or 7th time I've said, the killers, the 3 suspects, essentially, or whatever in this case, however you want to refer to it, that's for tonight's premiere and tomorrow's live discussion. So we're going to move on to the coloration. We're going to move on to the coloration of the hood latch swabs now. And we're going to talk about why Carl Reich had an issue with the coloration. Zellner's book. As far as I know, only John Farrak has a book coming out. Yeah, as far as I know, John Farrak has a book coming out where he's got a lot of information from Zellner, and it's John Farrak who has a book coming out, but not Zellner herself. How is the swab even being used? Sweat doesn't count for DNA testing. Well, but it had 1.9 nanograms of DNA on that swab, so you have to explain that somehow. And they did the presumptive testing, and it wasn't any of the 4 main bodily fluids. So that 1.9 nanograms is a problem. So now we'll move on to the next thing, and that is the coloration on the swabs, which is shown here. I showed a little bit of this last night or yesterday. So I'll show you first the swab from Marissa S., where she went out in 7-degree weather and swabbed her own hood latch for all of us. Now, I think it's safe to assume that in 7-degree weather that even the gunk on the engine hood latch was probably freezing and frozen, but she still got a significant amount of black carbon coming off of that thing, right? So then, that was the wet one, by the way. This is the wet one, folks. She got this side of the swab wet when she went out there, so she swabbed it with this one wet. Now, this is the other side of Marissa's swab. And this one is dry. And you can see that even dry, it was pulling a lot of black and gray and black. What you notice here is there's nothing yellowish or slightly yellowish. Nothing like that. Can DNA Tech tell the difference between a groin swab and a latch swab? That's a good question, Richard. I'm actually would like to know that answer to that question myself. Yeah. So these were from Marissa S. and they're brilliant. And somebody else also did some. And once again, I'm going to ask everybody to go check out Ali Apperson's videos after this, because she's been very busy the last couple of days. She's a busy little bee over there, and I can't wait till I'm done here talking to you guys, because I want to go over and check out her going over her own blood experiments that she did back in the day. I think Ali's brilliant. I think you guys should go check out. She made like 3 videos yesterday. It looks like she's already made another 2 videos. She's probably gonna have another upload coming out in about an hour. I really love Allie, so I encourage everybody to go check her out. But she did her own here, so let me show you. So these are from Allie Apperson. She did 4 different cars, and these are the 4 swabs. All of them have gray or black, but not a single one of them has anything that even closely resembles yellow or slightly yellowish, or not any of that. It's all just this black and carbon, bringing off all the carbon buildup on there. So I would think so. One swab would have the sweat and the other wouldn't. Richard, I think so, because you'd find engine grease, dirt, carbon from the exhaust and stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely. That's what you're going to find. Hi, Cranberry Mary. A groin swab should contain trace amounts of urea, substance in the sweat urine that provides yellow coloring. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. The swab was probably slightly yellow because it was picking up an area. It was picking up a place where there's bacteria, naturally bacteria on our bodies, because it's warm and dark inside of our clothes and stuff like that. And there's natural warmth from our body heat, and our body parts touching creates a buildup of that body heat, and it creates a place for bacteria naturally. That's why we take showers every day. Some of us even more than one shower. and wash our hands and do all those things. The reason why is because bacteria builds up, and if you don't take care of it, you're gonna have a problem. So that's why that swab is probably slightly yellow. I actually did see somebody asking about, why would the swab be slightly yellow? What was Stephen doing? Yeah, bacteria. Come on, seriously, let's get with it. What about the fingerprints on the actual hood? You can't open your hood without touching that. Yeah, exactly. There should be fingerprints on that hood as well. I lost you completely and had to go back. Scraping of fingernails, for example, the scrapings are viewed under microscope, and the cells are classified. Cells used inside mouth are different from the side of the face and the groin area. I agree that there may be some way of testing the difference of the cells, but was that testing done? Was the presumptive testing done? Well, that's what we really need to find the evidence of, Travis, I would say. I don't have bacteria on me. Okay. All right, fine. You're a miracle. It's a big farce, the swab. One used every swab. Look, I've offered a couple different places where the swab or the DNA could have come from. Travis points, and I'm going to just sum this up. Travis points out that if it was buccal cells, they could tell the difference. If it was outside of the cheek, skin cells from on the outside of the cheek or whatever, that they could tell the difference. And if it was groin cells, skin cells, that they could tell the difference. I do not dispute that. Were the presumptive testing for that done? I don't think it was. If it was, well, that's what we have to find out. That's what I got to find, I guess, is where is the presumptive testing that tells us what kind of cells they found there. Because the only thing I can find is that they ruled out blood, sweat, urine, and saliva. That's all I can see. That's all that Dr. Reich says that the Madison crime lab ruled out, was that they ruled out the 4 main bodily fluids, which I think would, if buccal is inside of the mouth, then I would think that it rules out a buccal swab probably. So there you go, we ruled out one. My brother was in a full body cast for a couple months, and the inside cotton lining turned yellow in places. Yeah, especially you swab a part of the area of the body that naturally gets a bit sweaty, gets a bit all that, and then that swab sits in evidence for who knows how long, right? And then it comes to Dr. Carl Reich's people here 13 years later, and it looks slightly yellow. I'm really not surprised that it looks slightly yellow. So anyways, moving on. If the test of the hood latch swab, and it's actually a groin swab, you might find a microscopic hairs in the sample. That's true. Skin cells tend to collect in groin area, and they tend to look yellow. And when you are a Caucasian, their source wasn't an issue. However, ZV's MFPCR indicates a source of DNA was the groin swab. Well, and there's a lot of reasons why the groin swab makes a lot of sense for me. So, you know. So let me switch back to me. Hello. Oh, one other thing I wanted to say about this is Miss Apperson, if you go check out her video, not only did she collect this carbon and stuff on these Q-tips, but she actually ran them underneath water, like ran them under the tap. You can watch her video and watch her running them underneath the tap, and they still look this way. So just wanted to add that as well. Unless someone is scrubbing down with bleach, there are always going to have bacteria on them to some degree. I agree. Literally, except unless you're using bleach, you can't really get rid of bacteria completely. In fact, there are good bacteria that live on us. The good bacteria that are actually good for our health and help and do things for us that are healthy. So we all have it, but yes, but in a way that causes just one of the players to question. Let's see. Please, someone answer my dumb question. When the investigators opened the hood, wouldn't the DNA have wiped off on their gloves? I don't know if it would have wiped off, but it's possible that some of the DNA that would have been there would have come off. A little bit of it might have come off onto some of their gloves, but all of it wiped off. I think that would be a bit of a stretch. That's a very good question. It was wherever they planted it. Let's see. DNA on the hood latch, but where else? Bonnie catch gear. Yeah, that's what we've been talking about. It's not. It should be on the hood prop. It should be on the release inside the cab. It should be on the battery cables, and yeah. Could the swivels be from Steven's vehicle? They had access to it. The two vehicles were meant to be beside each other in testing. Let's see. Yes, bacteria is everywhere. See, somebody else agrees with me here. Don't forget to drink your Actimel, guys. But you reminded me I'm thirsty. So, I mean, really, the thing here is that, for me, the discrepancy between less than 1/10 of a nanogram of DNA left in the trials versus the nearly two full nanograms left by Stephen is just beyond, really. It's just beyond. Let's see. It should be on all those areas that KZ has requested testing of. Yeah, right. Exactly like Travis said right there. If Stephen Avery was a spitter and the time of year is mucus, could have been yellow or green. Okay, but the bodily fluids were all ruled out. Since my surgery, I have a trash can full of DNA on tissues. Right. Alone that Steven's amount of DNA was so much higher are enough for me. I have written about this before. Yeah, I mean, it's just beyond. I mean, look, if they'd, I mean, I don't know, if even in one opening, if they'd gotten anybody that, say, approached 1 nanogram, if they could have even gotten one opening that got close to 1 nanogram, then maybe I could maybe start going, okay, maybe it's questionable. But they couldn't even get anybody that got over 1/10 of a nanogram. I mean, every of the 4 times that it was measured, it was all less than 1/10 of a nanogram. It's just bizarre and bewildering. Has anyone done a test to see if the levels of DNA on the latch and swab are consistent with the amount of DNA on actual groin swab? Sorry, excuse me. We were talking about that in this chat. I don't think Zellner's done it yet, but we were talking about it today about how it would be interesting to do a groin swab and try to get a presumptive test done to see how much, to get a gauge of how much DNA was on it, on the swab. Hopefully maybe one of these days we'll be able to get maybe a medical professional to help us out with that or something, or a lab technician or something, a medical lab tech or something like that can help us out with this. If there's any medical lab techs out there that can help us out with this, send me an email. Let me know. Also, if there's anybody, I also was trying to figure out how to draw some of my own blood for blood testing experiments. So, if there's a lab tech out there that could possibly help me do that in a safe fashion, that would be good too. If he wore gloves to clean off the steering wheel, why not clean hood latch? It's very inconsistent. Yeah, exactly. He's cleaning certain things but not other things. Yeah, absolutely. What is a huge red flag to me? Any mechanic will tell you. S.A.'s hands had thick, tough skin from working with his hands daily. Time in prison considered, but he was not a law associate with soft, weak finger skin. He had, most likely calluses all over. Exactly. Steven's probably like, anybody who works in a trade and works with tools and works with their hands a lot. We have our hands and fingers are very calloused. It's not. It's it's like armor, almost. It's like I don't know how to explain it, but the calluses kind of become like an armor that sits on the outside of your skin. And I believe that it would be very difficult for the skin cells to flake off from the calluses that you develop from working with your hands. To all lab techs who have done groin swabs, does 2 nanos sound right? Yeah, exactly, right? We'll get them on this video eventually. I'll probably end up over the next day or two. I'll get somebody who's going to end up leaving a comment on, an actual comment on the video that's going to probably answer it for us. Where is his blood from his cut finger reaching to open the hood latch is going to produce more blood than turning the key in the RAV. I would tend to agree with that. Yeah, I mean the problem is where things are and where things aren't, and it's just that's one of the big problems with this case, is that it just looks so strange. The blood in the RAV4 looks strange. It's like, that's why I made the comparison of the blood in the RAV4 with the blood in the OJ Bronco, right? Because in the OJ Bronco, it's like some is on the steering wheel, some is on the shifter, some is by the ignition, some is on the floor where his bloody feet were. So it's in places that make sense. That where you can look at it and go, yeah, it looks like somebody was in here with bleeding or with blood on them, right? But in the RAV4, it's nothing like that. It's just bizarre and strange and bewildering. Are they still not giving KZ the RAV? Not yet. KZ should do a groin swab on SA and see if the result gets close to 1.9. Yeah. You know what? I'm going to send her a tweet as soon as I'm done here. I can draw your blood. It's not bizarre and bewildering when you realize the similarities with the amount of DNA on the key. That's true. Let's see here. To all lab techs who have done groin swabs, does 2 nano sound right? Right. Where is his blood from his cut finger reaching to open a hood latch? Exactly. They're not finding any of the 4 main bodily fluids on this latch, but he was bleeding from his finger, right? Like right here. This is where he was bleeding from, literally, right here. So, I mean, how is he not... How? How is he not leaving that? It's bizarre. Where is his blood from his... Yeah, exactly. Great job. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Richard. The blood doesn't match up with someone actively bleeding. Absolutely. Your hands are open and free all day long, so as you lose skin cells, they are constantly being dropped or deposited. So the amount deposited by your hand is far less than an area like your groin. I agree. Did you ever see what would be the reason for SA to even want to be under the hood? Everybody says because he wanted to disconnect the battery because he wanted to disable any type of possible satellite finding, people being able to find it by satellite or by any kind of tracking. So he wanted to make sure that the electronics were completely dead. That's the theory. Love watching your videos. First time catching you live. You do a great job of analysis. You would be a great detective. Thank you so much, Donna. Did they ever say what would be the reason for SA to even want to be under the hood? Yes. Yes. Sorry, I already read that one. Love watching it. Sorry, I read that one. They said he was disconnecting the battery cable, like something in the trial. Yeah, basically. The reason that's been offered is that he was disabling the electronics as he was afraid of some kind of tracking. Is their story as to why he was under the hood? Regarding the DNA swabs, was TH's DNA on the key and the bonnet? No, the key only had Steven's DNA on it. I see you still don't have answers. Hi, playlist. I see you still are, being combative and unhelpful. So not much has changed there either. Let's see here. Didn't SA say he left blood on the bathroom sink and then it was mysteriously cleaned up? Yes, Kobe, he did. The hood latch and the key is waking Ken Crutch up every night in a cold sweat. That could be, or he has no conscience, and just saw your comment about the lymph fluid. Awesome point. The groin is a key lymph node area. Also, do you think now though that they needed SA to be under the hood as they knew about the battery being changed? I don't know. We never heard about this strange battery thing until now. Or at least I don't recall that ever coming out until now, like pretty much recently. So I imagine the state wasn't talking about it. I don't think Steven was that smart. I am late again. Sorry, class. No worries, Sila. You have to use common sense if there is a murder case and DNA is missing that should be there and isn't. Red flag. It's supposed to be there, and it's just like his prints are supposed to be there. Right. That's what's supposed to make evidence, look more solid, because it looks like it was there honestly. But when it's not accompanied by any fingerprints that should be there with it and things like that, then it starts to look like somebody was trying to, plant something. Because if it's getting left in if it's getting left in an honest way, then the other things that should accompany it should be there. And if those accompanying things aren't there, then you have to ask yourself, why are those accompanying things not there? Who was the woman you were going to watch about the swabs? Allie Apperson. Allie Apperson. I'm sure Marissa will now leave another link, please. Marissa, if you're here still. No DNA of TH found on the key. Exactly. Assuming that BD is the killer, which is looking more likely by the day. Do you mean Bobby Dassey? Because when you say BD, that's Brendan. Just want to make that clear. I don't think Brendan killed anybody. But if you're talking about Bobby, that will be for tonight's premiere and tomorrow night's live discussion. But they found the rag in no time. Why did they say he wanted to hide it from the election tracking? They didn't need tracking with Pam, guided by God. Right? I'm not sure about that first part of your question there, Dean. Playlist, do you have answers? You never asked for help. Erekose is already a great detective. His work is being feared around the world. I'm quite proud of my wee brother. Oh, thanks, Mr. Capaldi. So yeah, we'll keep her moving. Keep her moving. In the immortal words of Charlie Barons. All this talk about Steven sweat, while I would agree he could be sweating because he was nervous, I would guess it would not be that cold in Wisconsin that time of year. I would say it would be at that time of year where it's starting to get cold. The snow starts to fall in I think in December. So I would imagine it's starting to get cold then, but then again it might still be a little bit summer. So you might still have some temps in that sense. I don't know. Hi, Erekose, love from Manchester. We love the live shows. Oh, thank you, Jamie Young. Yeah, playlist is, look, playlist is a required taste. I actually kind of enjoy playlists. Him and I go back and forth in the comment section of my videos sometimes. I say he. I don't even know if it's a he. Playlist is, to my mind, a pretty smart person. I just disagree with their interpretation of the facts. What's the guilt or best explanation for how the bullet was in custody months before it was found? Well, that's just it. That's why I made that video yesterday, because I wanted to start a discussion about this. So what it comes down to is there's another report from another officer that actually accurately states it and says that the gun only went in on November 21st. And then he correctly notes in the report, and it's Officer Hawkins, I believe it is, something like that. Anyway, and then he properly notes that the slugs went to the crime lab on like 3/14 or something, or 3/5, or I don't know, whatever it was, right after they were found in the garage. So it turns out it's just a huge typo. It's just our lead investigator who coerced all this crap out of Brendan somehow didn't realize that the slugs that they coerced Brendan because they were coercing Brendan to say things happened in the garage, right? And then he just somehow forgets that the slugs that they find in the garage after they coerced Brendan to say that, he somehow forgets that those went in in March and not in November. So yeah, it just continues to show the lack of attention to detail by even our lead investigators in this case, and it's just a ridiculous mess. So that's what basically came from that Wiegert's a complete idiot, and that's what it comes down to. I meant not that hot that time of year. I accidentally said it. I actually said it wouldn't be that cold. I was just kind of theorizing it in my mind what I know about that weather of that area from kind of from the last couple of years of learning about it. So obviously I'll default always to you guys that live there. Obviously you guys are there. You guys can look out the window and go, yeah, this is what it is. So obviously I'm not trying to challenge anybody on what the weather's like in Wisconsin. Let's see here. I'm in Michigan, and snow in November is not unheard of, right? But generally starts around in December, right? So yeah. In other words, it would probably been pretty cold. Okay. Erekose for sheriff, Manitowoc County. I don't think you're going to get a lot of local support for that. Let's see. Hello. Let's see. Yes, 1031 in Wisconsin, I'd imagine, would be chilly, I'd think. It is here in Massachusetts. You're not sweating outside on Halloween, right? Also, snow on the ground. Hello. No to your channel. Just getting into this story. Very interesting. Oh, new to my channel? Oh, hi, Channel Q. Nice to meet you. You are one of the most egoless, not up your own arse, arrogant, smug type YouTubers on this case by far. Precise, honest, and easy to follow. Great stuff, dude. P.S. I meant Bobby. Sorry. Oh, okay. Thank you, David Brown. I appreciate that very much. I do. That's very touching. Thank you. And okay. Oh, you meant Bobby. Right. Got it. Let's see here. Also about item FL, if you look at the photos entered into evidence, the earliest date on the bag is 3206. The Midwest is much colder. Oops, dang it. I hate it when it does that. The Midwest is much colder than Massachusetts, and it's 33 here with snow melting a bit. The average temperature in Manitowoc for November 1st is 42.25 degrees Fahrenheit with a low of 38. Again, what's more likely, SA is super intelligent and cleaned up a ton of this, or a ton of average intelligence people made a lot of mistakes in framing SA. Not one mastermind in the group. Exactly, right. That's a great statement, Denver Royals. Awesome, very funny, witty, and yes, poignantly sharp at pointing out some of the issues with the case as well. I also referred to this state as the frozen tundra because it seems to get cold and snow early, right? And that's what Green Bay Packers, the Green Bay Packers stadium there, it's been referred to as the frozen tundra. That's one of their things, like during winter in football, that's like one of the things that they're proud of, is that they can play on that frozen tundra, but a lot of other teams that try to come in and play on it they struggle with it, so it gives the Packers an edge when they're playing at home during the colder months. So yeah, obviously, yes, the frozen tundra of Wisconsin. So beach weather, that's beach weather. It's so cold here. Our cars are frozen solid. Hopefully MAM3 will feature Bobby, Scott, Ryan, Colburn, etc. all getting grilled in one of them breaks. One of them knows something. Yeah, absolutely. Two wrongs don't make a right. I had a question mark on why they asked about the battery and why they went to the high school to ask questions instead of going to the school where she coached soccer. I don't know how to answer your question, Adrian, because I need to know more about it. So did Playlist spend $10,000 reward from KZ? Good one, Paul. Her cousin Marissa deserves some of this channel's YouTube money. Let's see. What do you mean? Let's see here. Yeah, many Michiganders would be outside wearing shorts today. I am not that kind of crazy. I'm in Chicago area, and we are on day 3 so far of snow this month. Halloween is normally a crapshoot. Cold, rain, sleet, and Manitowoc is quite a bit farther north. Yeah, but I would imagine. I know that in November, like last year, I remember Carla was telling me that they were getting the lake effect a lot in November. But it wasn't actually. I mean, it falls and it looks like and it acts kind of like snow, but it's actually from the lake, and it's it's a very local thing. It's not actually proper snow falling from from high up. So I do know that there's that effect that tends to happen in November, moving towards December. But from what I've understood, the snow in Wisconsin generally tends to start falling in December. But as of course, I will always default to the residents of Wisconsin to tell me what the weather is like there in Wisconsin. So my girlfriend is convinced that RH's involvement in this case. What do you personally think? I think RH, Ryan Hillegas, has some things to explain, but that will be part of the premiere that I'm going to be uploading tonight and the live discussion we're going to be doing tomorrow about the suspects, KZ's suspects. So I would like to go ahead and just move that topic and put a pin in it and move that topic to tonight's premiere. You can talk about it. There will be a live chat next to the premiere where you can ask and talk about the three main suspects, and then tomorrow night's live where I will be here live for you to ask me about Bobby, Scott, Ryan, Michael Osmondson. Obviously, Michael Osmondson isn't on KZ's list, but he's on mine. Let's see here. Paul Capaldi, 10K is too little, and Zellner was looking for info with what? So what if KZ got some info about an insignificant Redditor that answered her 100 questions? What's she gonna do? What is it gonna matter? What does it matter? Seriously. And seriously, what was she going to do? Put it out there and say this person's bad and put the ID like out on Twitter? What do you think was going to happen? I mean, oh God. The only people that might have had to fear from answering the 100 questions would have been actual players in the case. If they had actually tried to answer it and collect the $10,000, them handing over their ID would have been a problem. And that it's only for them would it have been a problem. But to some insignificant guilter on Reddit that was able to manage to answer those 100 questions, what would they care about KZ having their identity? Come on, get real. How does the timeline go? What day did they jackhammer the concrete if the bullet was turned in March? I'm not sure on the dates, but the fact of the matter is Teresa would have been shot on the 31st, according to the prosecution. They didn't find the RAV until the 5th of November, so they would have been jackhammering the crack after the 5th of November, which puts the jackhammering happening in between Teresa being killed and them finding the bullet in March. So no matter what, and no matter what particular day they were jackhammering that crack, it's still after Teresa was killed and before they found the bullet, and therefore the bullet should have concrete dust on it. I saw an interview with Kratz where he said the same things about the luminol. He seems to need to compulsively lie about the case. Absolutely. I think you've already talked about it a bit, but did Ken K make his sweat press conference before or after they had discovered Stephen's sweat DNA? He made his sweat press conference in March after they got Brendan, after they coerced Brendan. So when they had Brendan's coerced confession to talk about, that's when they talked about it. Tiffany Henry, that's interesting because KK says sweat 2 or 3 times were very clearly, as he already know that sweat is not an issue, right? Do you have I like that, Ziggy. That's funny. Do you have plans to do other crazy cases in the future? I'm fascinated by disappearances. I know you would get to the bottom of some very quickly. Why are you not one of Casey's employees? David Brown, actually, there's a friend of mine, and people on my channel have heard me refer to her as G. I just think the world of G. G is awesome. She is the type of person that's out there working on a lot of these missing cases. She's very active. She works with a bunch of other people that are very active in trying to find missing people. And I have been trying to get her to do like a show twice a month with me, where her and I can talk about either MAM or any other current true crime thing for a little while, and then she could then go and I could give her the last, say, 10 or 15 minutes where she could talk about her top 5 or 10 missing cases, just to help her bring more awareness to that stuff. I'm trying to get her to do it. I'm trying to convince her. Problem I have with people is that there's a lot of people out there that are reluctant to go on video. That's the real tough part. So I talked to her about it once. I had her kind of on board with it, but I got busy, forgot to message her back. So now I'm kind of going to have to start from scratch again and kind of get her worked up into doing it again. But I really want to, because G is just a good-hearted person. You know, the reason why you guys like me, because I seem genuine and all those sort of things. She has that in spades. She has that in spades. She's absolutely phenomenal. And as soon as I can do that, David Brown, I intend to. I want to get her in here, and I want to help her bring attention to her missing cases and the missing cases that are important to the group of people that she works with. So I am working on that. I'm hoping it will be coming soon. Let's see here. Paul Capaldi, not even worth the effort. Zellner would have disputed everything. Is that okay? Who do you think committed this murder? That will be a topic for the suspect discussion tonight and tomorrow night's live. Tonight in the premiere and tomorrow night's live. Anyone can email me. Flood my email. I will look at info. The water in the Great Lakes acts like a heat sink and pulls the jet stream down right over Wisconsin. And yeah, right. That's the lake effect. Right. Yeah, my email is... okay, we don't need to read that out. Bullet paperwork has been confusing the hell out of me. Got notes and charts. I'm looking for someone to adopt me that lives in the South. Erekose, what do you think about the Reddit post showing a transcript of BD mentioning the Blazer? Blaine Dassey? Okay. Blaine Dassey? I don't know. I'm not sure what I think about... There's some issues with Blaine, because he's now changed testimony about what he's seen, but there's two other witnesses that claim they saw it, and it's kind of, strange. I have strong sweat, can't wear white, attended to the armpits turn yellow, right? But it was before they had sweat results. Let's see. So people in Reddit are thinking he was referring to Bobby, not Steven, that Bobby was threatening him. My thought is that it would have been cool enough in Wisconsin that no one would be sweating a bunch, right? Unless they were doing the marathon, or right, running around or doing something pretty, taxing physically. Give me the first part, and then the at part later on, and I will put together. Playlist. Don't worry about KZ. Fear her experts. They are the ones that have exposed Wisconsin corruption. I assume that you're familiar with KZ and her experts. I think RH is the guilty one. Yeah, I certainly am not letting go of Ryan Hillegas either. Seems like they tricked Brendan into saying that what they wanted him to say, and then built their case around the false narrative. Well, I believe they coerced him into saying what they wanted him to say so that it would fit in with the case they were trying to build against Stephen Avery. Absolutely. Adrian Gonzalez, I cannot understand it. Did anyone ever check into the book Kiss the Girl? Yeah, lots of people have. You will be live later? No, not live. I'm going to be uploading a premiere, and it's going to have to do with the main suspects, KZ's remaining main suspects, which include Bobby Dassey, Scott Taddick, and Ryan Hillegas. And then I intend to kind of include Michael Osmondson as a number 4. It's going to be a premiere, though. It's going to be an upload, but it's going to be a premiere, so it will have a live chat next to it. And then the live will be tomorrow night when I get home from work. What time tonight is the Suspect Live Talk? It's a premiere. I'm gonna probably schedule it for probably 6 o'clock. I hope to schedule it for 6. I'm still making it. I was working on it before this live chat. When this live chat ends, I'm gonna watch Ali Apperson's video, and then I'm gonna get back to finishing it. But I'm pretty confident I'll have it done and ready for upload by about 3 or 4 o'clock, which will leave 2 hours for everybody to be able to find it and get ready and find it and click on it and set a reminder and that sort of stuff on it. So looking for shooting around 6 o'clock on the premiere tonight. Tarji, send me your email. I agree with you, Shelly. Well, let me put my email up here. Kratz has some obsession with Steven Sweat. That's true. Just kidding. But may not be able to. May not be able to scroll up far enough to delete it. Who is the Michael guy? Who's this Michael guy? Michael Osmondson. This isn't the chat for it, but essentially he was the one that was trying to joke around with Steven and asking Steven if he needed help burying a body. It's not for this chat. I'm trying to keep this about the Hood Latch DNA. So, and the Hood Latch Swab. I have a weird theory I'd love to talk to you about sometime if you ever have guests. I can have guests. Tell me do me a favor, Channel Q. Email me. My email's down below. Email me. Let's talk a little bit. Because I like to get to know the people I bring on my show. Everybody I've had on here, I've had conversations with outside of YouTube. That I've talked to them either on like emails, Messenger, or actually with David Bagaka. I actually got to meet him in addition to talking to him on Messenger and things like that. I actually got to meet him at the rally this year. So, in order for me to bring you on the channel, like some of my other friends like Mark Hodnott and Paul Capaldi, I need to kind of get to know you a little bit first. So, but I do have guests on my channel. I will be having some spectacular guests on this channel. I will be speaking to Sean Atwood on Thanksgiving this week on Thursday. I will be starting approximately the same time as I started today because it's Thanksgiving. So I'm going to be starting at about the same time as today so that as many people as possible have the chance to get there and be able to see it. So that's something that I'm planning. I also have another guest lined up that I'm extremely excited about, but I'm not talking about too much just yet. I'll leave it at this and say I am going to be able to speak to a expert on investigations, and that's going to be awesome. So I have some things lined up for you guys that are pretty exciting coming up. I hope you guys are going to be able to be around and be able to get some of this cool stuff. The thing with Sean Atwood is going to be fun because he wrote Unmaking a Murderer, which is an absolutely great book for those of you who are coming into this new, don't know much. Start with Unmaking a Murderer. Please do. It's a kind of a rough outline for beginners to understand exactly where the state was playing games in this case, and kind of gives you an idea of where to start looking and digging for things. And I think Sean Atwood's book does that very well, and it points out the tactics and the everything that the state did and all the ploys they used and tactics they used and just how the state does things there. Sean Atwood's book goes through those brilliantly. So we're going to be talking to Sean. Sean does all kinds of great things. He currently makes a bunch of videos on his YouTube channel where he talks with some of the people he was in prison with, and basically tells a lot of stories, goes around to schools and does a lot of stuff with kids to give books, obviously, to prisons and stuff like that, but he also goes around to kids to discourage them from getting into a life of crime. And he does like a lot of videos about what it's like in prison, and how unpleasant it is in prison, things like that. And he's doing a lot of great work over there to try to influence society and change things and influence kids to make better decisions than he did. And everything. I gotta say, I applaud him. He's just doing some phenomenal work over there. He's even done a TED Talk He's just it's an honor that I'm going to be talking to him on Thanksgiving. It's obviously not going to be Thanksgiving for the Brits, but it's Thanksgiving for us here in the U.S. So it might be a special treat for everybody, and so I'm going to go ahead and start to sign off here, folks. Going to the rally, main suspects, Bobby. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and start. I'm going to sign off here, folks. It's been a heck of a time here talking to you. Obviously, I want to try and give you guys good, accurate information. I want to try to back up what I'm saying with images or with documents and all that sort of stuff. It's yes, American. Yes, I'm very, very close to 1 million views. I'm experiencing some success right now, and I take that with a grain of salt. I appreciate it. I love all that you guys are in here loving me and supporting me and all that, and I so much appreciate that. But I do try to not let it get to my head, of course. So but I do appreciate all of you being here. I appreciate all of you tuning in to get this information. And I'm trying to, the best I can, I'm trying to figure out what information everybody's hungry for so that I can deliver it to the masses here when they're ready for it. So it's a tough game figuring out how to go live like this and how to figure out how to show you guys the evidence and do all those things. But I'm learning, I'm figuring it out. I'm the type of guy that you throw me in and I figure it out quick. So as I get more and more used to this software, I'll be able to do more and more things, and I'll probably end up figuring how to do chroma key so that I'll be able to drop a backdrop behind me and have like digital images up there, similar to what Laura was doing last night, but not like that. It'll be different. So, but I am looking into the things that this software can do. So there may be some exciting things like that coming forward in the future as well, and. You're all very welcome. Thank you so much for coming. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe. And as always, you can always stick around in this chat for as long as you want and talk to everybody here and discuss the case and all that sort of stuff. So feel free to do so.